Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. What's Buddha about the sunshine directly falling on my eyes? What will you do? That's it. Sorry for the interruption. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Lord Krishna shows the universal form, text number 22. Tau Angri Yugmam, even though it is written as Tau, the Tau is in the Sandhi. Tau Angri becomes Tavangri. That is Sanskrit Sandhi, rules of grammar. So the word is Tau, referring to the two babies, Krishna and Balaram. Tavangri Yugmam Anukrishya Sari Sripantau. Tavangri Yugmam Anukrishya Sari Sripantau. Ghosha Raghosha Ruchiram Vraja Kardameshu. Ghosha Praghosha Ruchiram Vraja Kardameshu. Tannada Rishta Manasa Anusritya Lokam. Tannada Rishta Manasa Anusritya Lokam. Mugdha Prabhitavad Upeyatur Antimatro. Mugdha Prabhitavad Upeyatur Antimatro. Tavangri Yugmam Anukrishya Sari Sripanta. Ghosha Praghosha Ruchiram Rajakardamesho. Tannada Hrishta Manasa Anusritya Lokam. Mugdha Prabhitavadupeyatur Antimatro. तावङ्घ्रियुग्ममनुकृष्य सरीसृपन्त घोषप्रघोषरुचिरं व्रजकर्दमेषु तन्नादहृष्टमनसा अनुसृत्य लोकम् मुग्धप्रभीतवदुपेयतुरन्तिमात्रो तावङ्घ्रियुग्ममनुकृष्य सरीसृपन्तो घोषप्रघोषरुचिरं व्रजकर्दमेषु तन्नादहृष्टमनसावनुसृत्य लोकम् मुग्धप्रभीतवदुपेयतुरन्तिमात्रो तावङ्घ्रियुग्ममनुकृष्य सरीसृपन्त घोषप्रघोषरुचिरं व्रजकर्दमेषु तन्नादहृष्टमनसावनुसृत्य लोकम् मुग्धप्रभीतवदुपेयतुरन्तिमात्रो तौ Krishna and Balaram Anghriyugmam Anukrishya Anghriyugmam Anukrishya dragging their legs Sarisrupanta crawling like sing a sound with their ankle bells. That was very, very sweet to hear. Vrajakardameshu, in the mud created by cow dung and cow urine on the earth of Vrajabhumi, Tat Nada. See these two words, Tat and Nada, the Sandhi becomes Tannada. These are rules of Sanskrit grammar. Tat Nada. By the sound of those ankle bells, Krishna Manasa, being very much pleased, Anusritya, knowing, Lokam, other persons, Mugdha, thus being enchanted, Prabhitavat, then again being afraid of them, Upeyatuhu, immediately returned, Antimatro, toward their mothers. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. When Krishna and Balaram with the strength of their legs crawled in the muddy places created in Vraja by cow dung and cow urine, their crawling resembled the crawling of serpents, and the sound of their ankle bells was very charming. Very much pleased by the sound of other people's ankle bells, they used to follow these people as if going to their mothers. But when they saw that these were other people, they became afraid and returned to their real mothers, Yashoda and Rohini. Please repeat this translation after me. When Krishna and Balaram, with the strength of their legs, crawled in the muddy places created in Vraja by cow dung and cow urine, their crawling resembled the crawling of serpents. They became afraid and returned to their real mothers, Yashoda and Rohini. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Krishna and Balaram were crawling about Vrajabhumi, they were enchanted by the sound of ankle bells. Thus, they sometimes followed other people who would enjoy the crawling of Krishna and Balaram and exclaim, "Oh, see how Krishna and Balaram are crawling." Upon hearing this, Krishna and Balaram could understand that these were not their mothers they were following, and they would return to their actual mothers. Thus, the crawling of Krishna and Balaram was enjoyed by the people of the neighborhood, as well as by Mother Yashoda and Rohini, and the two children themselves. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam yat kripatamaham vande Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. This is the very special portion of Srimad Bhagavatam describing the enchanting activities of Krishna and Balaram, particularly their childhood activities. Small children, just born babies who have begun to crawl on the ground. So how they actually give so much pleasure to not only their own mothers, but even the neighboring elderly gopis. So there is an elaborate description by Shukadev Goswami of these pastimes of Krishna on the request of Parikshit Maharaj. So the first point to note is the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram are very, very special as compared to the pastimes of the other incarnations of the Supreme Lord. All the incarnations of the Supreme Lord are extraordinary activities of the Lord. But most of the other incarnations are limited to three kinds of activities. Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya. So the Lord incarnates in this material world for three primary purposes: to protect the devotees, to kill the demons, and to re-establish the real religious principles. So you can understand when you hear the activities of the other incarnations, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha. But the incarnation of the Supreme Lord as Krishna and Balaram is different in many, many ways. Even though they also protect the devotees, kill the demons, and re-establish religious principles. But much, much more they are aiming to achieve through their incarnations. Specifically, Krishna and Balaram have appeared to display their pastimes in the spiritual world. And their pastimes in the spiritual world are going on in 3 different locations in the spiritual world: Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka. So when Krishna and Balaram incarnate, they directly descend from their personal abode in their original forms. And they have got 3 original forms. The form of cowherd boys, Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. The form of the prince of Mathura, the kingdom of Mathura, as sons of Vasudeva. So prince in Mathura, and kings of Dwaraka. Kings of Dwaraka, Krishna and Balaram. It's kings of Dwaraka. So these forms are the original forms in the spiritual world. And as it is, in their original forms, they descend. Whereas Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, these forms are not in the spiritual world. These personalities are incarnations of the Supreme Lord Narayana in the spiritual world. Narayana is 4-handed, transcendental form. Of course, all forms are transcendental, but Narayana is 4-handed form in the spiritual world, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. But when the Lord incarnates as Matsya, fish-like form, that's a transcendental fish performing extraordinary activities of protecting the devotees. Appeared at the time of devastation, of a partial devastation of this universe, Pralaya. And for the sake of protecting the devotees and to establish dharma by first of all rescuing the Vedas, which were lost, and also instructing one devotee, Satyavrata, in the principles of dharma. That's the subject matter of Matsya Purana, elaborately explained. In the Bhagavatam, briefly, it is given in the 8th canto, 24th chapter, the last chapter of the 8th canto, the incarnation of Matsya. So the form doesn't resemble the form in the spiritual world. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha. Extraordinary forms, transcendental forms, very beautiful forms, not ugly forms. Because Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, who is unlimitedly beautiful, so when he incarnates, even in the form of a fish or a boar, fish is not difficult to understand. There are colorful fishes which beautifully swim, and people keep aquariums in their homes. But the form of a boar a pig. It's not at all very beautiful to look at. But the Lord appeared as a transcendental boar, Varaha. Varaha avatar. Very, very beautiful. Whichever form he appears, he is very beautiful. Because his beauty is a transcendental, unlimited beauty. So that is there. Very, very attractive. Very pleasing to look at. Even the form of Narasimha, half man, half lion. Lion is generally supposed to be very ferocious animal. So Narasimha had the face of a lion, and he was very angry against Hiranyakashipu and all the other demon associates of Hiranyakashipu who were torturing Prahlad. So he was very angry. So he appeared in a very, very ferocious form. But the wonderful feature of the Lord's appearances, even though he was very ferocious, very angry, the Devatas, they were happy that the Lord appeared and killed Hiranyakashipu and all the demons. But after killing, still, immediately, Narasimha did not give up his anger. In the same angry mood, he came and occupied the throne which formerly Hiranyakashipu was sitting and terrorizing the whole universe. He sat there. And the Devatas thought, oh, now the Lord has finished his business of killing. Now he'll give up his anger. So they began to offer nice prayers. But Lord Narasimha, even after hearing all those prayers, he did not give up his anger. All the demigods are perplexed. Now, how to pacify the Lord? Nobody has the courage to go and near the Lord and, pray to him, please give up your anger. Nobody has the courage. So they're all looking towards Brahma because Brahma is the leader. The leader himself is afraid to go near the Lord because he has never seen the Lord in such an angry mood. Then Brahma is thinking, oh, Lakshmi Devi is here, his consort. She can go and pacify. So Brahma looked towards Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi says, no, not me. I cannot go near him. I had never seen him in such a ferocious form. So angry. So Lakshmi Devi also did not go. And then Brahma doesn't know what to do. He's seeing near Lord Narasimha, very close to him, Prahlad is standing fearlessly and offering nice prayers to the Lord. Small boy, 5-year-old boy. He is standing fearlessly in front of Narasimha. Brahma was perplexed for a moment. Then he thought, oh, that's a good opportunity for me to send Prahlad to actually, offer obeisances to the Lord and pacify him. Because he has appeared for the sake of Prahlad primarily. So he went to Prahlad and said, please go close to Lord Narasimha, to the Lord, and pay your obeisances to him. So Prahlad went. Fearlessly he went to Lord Narasimha, paid his obeisances. The Lord immediately gave up his anger, and with such a loving countenance, he picked up the boy and placed his hand on his head. Now all your problems are finished. So, the point is that Lord He appears in different forms. Advaitam achyutam anadim ananta rupam. He appears in so many different forms, but all of them are transcendental. All of them are for the specific purposes. But when he comes as Krishna and Balaram in his original form, from the spiritual world directly, he appears specifically for displaying his pastimes in the spiritual world. Because why? In the spiritual world, there are no demons. So, in Vrindavan, he appears to display his Vrindavan pastimes going on in his personal abode in spiritual world, Krishna Loka. Vrindavan in the spiritual world. So, the scriptures differentiate Vrindavan in the spiritual world as Goloka Vrindavana, and Vrindavan in the material world as Gokula Vrindavana. Gokula Vrindavana is in the material world, in the Lord incarnates. He not only comes himself, he comes with his associates, and he comes with his abode also. He brings down his whole Goloka Vrindavana. So the Vrindavan Dham we visit actually is the Lord's personal abode which has descended into this material world. Avatara means he comes down. He comes down himself in his original form and brings down his associates in their original forms. The associates also come in their original forms. And the Dham also descends in its original form in the spiritual world. The same trees, the same inhabitants of the Goloka Vrindavana, the monkeys, the peacocks, the birds, the bees, all of them come with Krishna. Of course, not all of them. All the varieties of devotees, some of them, they come with Krishna and Balaram. And they perform their pastimes just to give us a glimpse of what it is like in the spiritual world. Because throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, come back to me, come to my abode. Now, what is our understanding of what is Krishna's abode like? The Vedas are describing very, very briefly, because Vedas, the bulk of the Vedas is describing this material world. Because we are so engrossed materially that unless we get some detailed description of this material world, we will not take the Vedas very seriously. So vast, because this whole universe filled with so many different kinds of planets, and each planet filled with so many kinds of living entities, 84 lakh species, and 14 planetary systems. Each system is one set of planets with certain kind of living conditions. And especially the upper planets are filled with so much of wonderful variety of facilities. Beginning from Swargaloka, even the earth planet is very special. But even better than the earth planet in terms of material facilities, Swargaloka. And above Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, variegated facilities are there. Wonderful facilities are there. There is one Siddhaloka, where all the inhabitants are by birth itself having all the Ashtasiddhis. They have all the yoga siddhis, the perfection of yoga practice, which yogis on this earth planet struggle for millions of years, severe austerities to get those siddhis. They are born with the siddhis. By birth itself, they have those siddhis. So they simply freely travel anywhere in the universe without the help of any machine by their yoga siddhi. They can become very small, they can change their form, they can visit any part of the universe, they can disguise themselves and travel. So the Siddhaloka inhabitants. So Vedas describe all this, and finally Vedas say that however good the facilities in the upper planets, still there are 4 fundamental miseries in this material existence. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. In Bhagavad Gita, everything in the Vedas is summarized very concisely. In the Vedas, you will come to this conclusion after you study all the Vedas. Then only you'll come to this conclusion. This essence of material existence is misery. And then the solution is given for becoming free from these miseries. Permanent freedom from these miseries is self-realization. Brahma Vidya. So Brahma Vidya is given in the end of the Vedas. The end of the Vedas is called Vedanta. There something is given, little description is given. What is that? Self-realization or Brahman realization. But that's very dry philosophy in the Upanishads. Very dry. For common people, it doesn't appeal at all. It will never appeal. Even the scholars, because they got some developed intelligence and they have cultivated knowledge, so they may study the Upanishads, but even they don't find it very interesting. Not very interesting. It is very, very, very tedious to study that Upanishads and try to understand it. It's very difficult. But then, the Lord's incarnation, Vyasadeva, after he finished compiling the Vedas and summarized the Vedas in the form of the philosophy of the Vedas in the Upanishads, and summarized the Upanishads also and gave what is called as Vedanta Sutra, the condensation of that which is already condensed, cream of the Vedic philosophy. Vedanta Sutra. But the Vedanta Sutra is so very dry. Upanishad itself is very dry. Vedanta Sutra is even more dry. Simply some 525 sutras, aphorisms. Atato Brahma Jignasa, Shastra Yonitvat, Janmadhyasya Yataha. There are some scholars who study these Vedanta Sutras. First they teach them the sutras and then they try to explain the meaning of the sutras. Very, very difficult to understand. Very difficult to understand. But there are people who study that. And then to come to the conclusion of the Vedic knowledge, they study this Upanishads. And to come to the conclusion of Upanishad, they study the Vedanta Sutra. And to come to the conclusion of Vedanta Sutra, not easy to come to any conclusion after studying all that. What is to be done? What is the final goal? What is the final aim? So that is very, very difficult to ascertain by simply studying the Vedas. So, that is very clearly stated by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyam. From all the Vedas, I am to be understood. I am to be known. I am the goal of the Vedas. Vedanta Krit. In my incarnation is Vyasadeva. I have actually compiled the Vedanta. Vedanta means the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutra. Both are referred to in the Bhagavad Gita as Vedanta Krit. Vedavit, I am the knower of the Vedas. Who knows the Vedas properly means who knows the purport or the real meaning of the Vedas. It's only the Supreme Lord Himself who knows. Nobody else actually can ascertain the meaning of the Vedas by their study, by their analysis, by their debates, by their scholarly discourses. They cannot ascertain. Not possible. So we have to hear directly from Krishna because He knows. He is the compiler. He is the knower. He is the goal. So we have to hear directly from Krishna or from a representative of Krishna who actually is directly descending from Krishna Loka, from the spiritual world. So such a representative, of course, directly Krishna descends in his form of his incarnations, and he gives us that proper understanding when he speaks Bhagavad Gita, or he instructs Satyavrata in his Matsyavatara. Like that, every incarnation there is some knowledge being given, transcendental knowledge being given by the Lord in his various incarnations. But when he comes as Krishna and Balaram, they display their wonderful spiritual activities, because in the spiritual world there is no need for any instructions to be given, no need for speaking dharma. There is no concept of dharma in the spiritual world. It doesn't exist. Why? Because the spiritual world, everyone is perfect, properly situated in their eternal constitutional position. The Lord and His devotees. That's all the spiritual world is. Nothing else is there. So that spiritual world, everyone is engaged in what? In spiritual activities. And what are the spiritual activities called? Bhakti, devotional service. The devotees are engaged in serving Krishna, and Krishna is engaged in serving his devotees. This is their activity. And that is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. It is revealed in the Vedas also, but Vedas is very difficult to understand, this revelation. And that spiritual world is our original home. All of us in this material world, we generally think we belong to this world, but actually the scriptures inform us we don't belong to this world. We belong to Krishna's personal abode. Krishna means his various forms in the spiritual world. He has many, many forms according to his relationship with his devotees. He's got many forms. He's got many devotees. And the devotees are serving Krishna lovingly. not out of force, not out of some fear, not out of some duty. No, there's no conception of duty, fear, or some necessity. No, there's no necessity. But they are engaged in loving service out of love for the Supreme Personality of God. But that love is of two kinds: intimate, spontaneous love. It's called Raga Bhakti. And there is another kind of love which is reverential devotion. That kind of love is out of cognizance of the fact that the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller, is the Supreme Master, is the Supreme Provider, is the Supreme everything. So, being conscious of the position of the Lord, the devotees, when they render service to Him out of affection and love for Him, that is reverential devotion. It's called Aishwarya Yukta Bhakti. Aishwarya Yukta Bhakti. So here, coming to the point, here is the description of that Raga Bhakti only in Krishna Loka, of which there are three divisions: Vrindavana, Mathura and Dwaraka. Only in these three places in the spiritual world there is Raga Bhakti, the devotees. Just like you see one picture, Krishna is sitting with Radharani, and one calf is licking his legs. This is never possible in Vaikuntha. Narayana with his devotees. When Narayana is with Lakshmi, nobody dare even go near them. What to speak of calf going and licking his feet? No way. So, in Vaikuntha, it's reverential devotion. Means they are all conscious of the position and their specific relationship with the Lord, and exactly they behave according to their position. The example is given by Prabhupada, very simple. A gentleman at his home, and the same gentleman has, let's say, a very big position, managing director of a very big factory. Now, in the factory, obviously everybody has got respect for him and they relate with him. But everybody is conscious of his topmost position. Everybody. Whereas at home, of course, everyone knows this gentleman is the head of the family. All the family members know that. But they don't care for relating with him in his supreme position or in his topmost position. No. It's exactly like that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, in the material world, a crude example can be given. So the gentleman at home, his relationship is not exactly taking always into consideration in their activities his supreme position. No. They don't have to. That does not mean they do not know or they don't care. It's not like that. It is the intimacy with which the relationships exist, because of which the activities will be totally of a different kind. So where is this coming from? The different kind of relationships in this world. Because this world, everything is an imitation of what is there in the spiritual world. It's a reflection of the spiritual world. So unless it is in the spiritual world, it cannot exist in the material world. So therefore, the Shastras say, unless there are people in the spiritual world, there can't be people in the material world. Unless there are monkeys in this spiritual world, there can't be monkeys in the material world. So, then what are the difference between monkeys in the spiritual world and monkeys in the material world? The difference is, in the spiritual world, all are devotees. And their leader is the Supreme Lord. In the material world, so many different positions, so many different kinds of people. Even though one person may be like the topmost person, the leader, still there is no definite hierarchy. There is some kind of hierarchy, but it is all subject to so many conditions. So the relationships are something like those in the spiritual world, but they are not exactly the same. In the spiritual world, there is only one kind of relationship, loving relationship. That's all. There is nothing else. There is no other kind of relationship. But that love is of varieties. The same example, at home, everyone loves the gentleman who's the head of the family. But the kind of loving relationship is varied. The way the children love their father, the way the wife has love for her husband, the way the mother has love for the son, it's different kind of varieties of loving relationship. This is the actual variety in the spiritual world, but this variety can be seen only in Goloka Vrindavana. Only in Goloka Vrindavana. It cannot be seen fully in Vaikuntha Loka. It cannot even be fully seen in Mathura Dham. Mathura Dham, everyone is conscious of Krishna as the prince. In Vrindavana, Krishna is just a cowherd boy. Just a cowherd boy, that's all. So everyone relates to him as a charming, cute little child. That's all. Everyone. And he is attractive not only to the men, the women, the boys and the girls, but he's attractive to the cows, to the calves, to the monkeys, to the peacocks, to the bees, to the trees. Now, trees we cannot understand in this material world. For us, material world, trees are just standing in one place. And they just seem to be inert living beings. But actually, in the spiritual world, the different forms of life are actually different personalities with different kinds of relationships, doing different kinds of service. Just like the trees are serving us by giving us fruits, flowers, leaves, twigs, etc. The same service is rendered by the trees in the spiritual world to Krishna. The same service is given by the trees. But the difference is, in the material world, we cannot relate with the tree. We accept the service, But we cannot relate with the tree beyond simply taking the service and just taking care by watering or whatever. Reciprocation, whatever exchange is there. But in the spiritual world, even the trees are actually having an exchange of love with Krishna. Evolved in terms of material consciousness, being in the whole creation. So is the topmost personality, is the leader, is the greatest position as Brahma. But even he has got tinge of material contamination. That he thinks in terms of his position as Brahma. I am Brahma. Yes, Brahma, who are you? I am Brahma. He doesn't realize it's a position he has occupied according to his karma. So a devotee, a pure devotee, he does not make distinction between Brahma, Indra, or even an ordinary insect or a worm or an ant. This is explained in the Brahma Samhita. That Yaddatta matra prabhava prakata prabhava. That everyone is displaying some power, some position, some opulence, exactly according to what is awarded to them by material nature at the time of their birth. Whereas in the spiritual world and the pure devotees, they know they are actually devotees. And they are devotees. Of whom? Of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Lord. Devotees are devotees. And eternally so. And they conduct themselves, they live like that, they relate like that, they're always behaving like that. Here, our behavior is not simply according to our position alone. It also is according to what we acquire as we grow up. So it is simply an interplay of the three gunas, that's all, in this material world. Brahma is influenced by sattva guna, so he behaves in a sattvic way. People in general in this earth planet are influenced too much by rajoguna, so they behave in a rajasic way. The animals and all the uncivilized people, they're so much influenced by tamoguna, they behave in a tamasic way. So their behavior is according to influence, the material influence. Their behavior is not their original behavior. So the pure devotees, they recognize that Brahma is actually just a living entity who is conditioned by his karma to behave, act, take the position of Brahma, live like Brahma. Whereas an ordinary insect or a worm is also a spirit soul, like Brahma, a spirit soul, originally, but conditioned by that body of the worm according to its karma. Whereas in the spirit, I am going to serve as a river. I am going to serve as a river to Krishna, because Krishna enjoys taking bath in the river, playing in the river with his cowherd boy friends. So I serve as a river. So the forms in the spiritual world are according to their desire to serve the Lord. And how do they get these desires to serve the Lord? It is in their relationship. How can I serve you, Krishna? Nobody demands from Krishna, I want to serve you like this. No, there's no demand. Everybody always is sensitive to or conscious of what does Krishna want from me? So therefore, there is perfect harmony in the spiritual world. And Krishna also wants to serve the devotees. Krishna is not simply receiving service, sitting and enjoying. No, he also wants to reciprocate. So how does he reciprocate? He asks the devotees, how can I serve you? So when he asks, how can I serve you? Devotees will ask, how can I serve you? First you tell me how I can serve you. Krishna says, no, first you tell me how I can serve you. So sometimes there is this kind of competition between Krishna wanting to serve his devotees and devotees wanting to serve Krishna. So this is spiritual dynamics in the spiritual world. And Krishna connects and relates with each and every devotee individually. That only Krishna can do. Nobody else can do it. Because he expands himself into as many forms as there are devotees. He demonstrated that in Dwarka and even in Vrindavan. In Dwarka, he had 16,108 queens. So he expanded himself into 16,108 forms as the king of Dwarka. Such things happen only in the spiritual world. And when Krishna comes down, he displays that for a short time when he is present in the material world. But people cannot understand this because when Krishna goes to the assembly hall, he goes as one person Krishna, not 16,108 Krishnas go there. One Krishna goes there. And even his going, he has got one chariot driver, Daruka, his name, Daruka. So Daruka comes to pick up Krishna. So Daruka also, he knows there's only one Krishna. He doesn't know there are 16,108 Krishnas in 16,108 palaces. So this is the arrangement of Yoga Maya. The Daruka comes to one palace. So that Daruka appears to the queens as Daruka has today come to my palace. Because Krishna has come to my palace previous evening when they returned. So the queens also think Krishna is with me and not with the other queens. That's what happens in the material world, no? A king has got many queens. He'll spend one night with this queen, another night with another queen. That's the way only he can give time to each of the queens. So, foolish people think Krishna is an ordinary man. Therefore, they'll think, oh, Krishna, he is to go one night with one queen, another night with another queen. Under the influence of Yoga Maya, even the queens think like that. Today, Krishna is with me, not with other queens. But the reality is, Krishna is always with every queen. Whenever he comes home from the assembly, finishing his work, he comes back home. So this is the mystical way in which Krishna displays his pastimes in the material world. So coming to today's verse, when Krishna and Balaram with the strength of their legs crawled in the muddy places created in Vraja by cow dung and cow urine, their crawling resembling the crawling of serpents and the sound of their ankle bells was very charming. See, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is performing these pastimes specifically to give pleasure to his devotees. And also to relate with them in their specific relationships also. So the way he gives pleasure, the activities he performs are ultimately meant for only one thing. Anandamayo abhyasat. He's full of ananda and he wants to give that ananda to all his devotees. So how can he give that ananda? He can't say, come here, take some ananda. No. He has to have some reciprocation, some exchange of love, loving relationship. So that exchange is in the form of activities. Therefore, the spiritual world is full of activities. And the Mayavadis can't understand this. Their concept of spiritual reality is opposite of matter or material world or material existence. Material world, we are active in so many ways because of being bewildered by Maya. We are performing so many activities. But in the spiritual world, there is no Maya. The kind of Maya that is there in the material world. The illusory energy is absent in the spiritual world. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. Vyasadeva has carefully compiled the Bhagavatam. He is telling the Bhagavatam, he is describing Krishna in his personal abode, which is forever free from all the illusions present in this material world. Nirasta kuhakam. There is no illusion in the spiritual world. So that spiritual world, the Mayavadis think, since there is activity due to illusory energy working, the three gunas, so in the spiritual world there is no three gunas, there is no illusion, nirasta kuhakam, therefore there are no activities. Because they know only of one kind of activity, material activity. They don't know what is spiritual activity. They don't know what is spiritual world. For them, the spiritual world is only the spiritual sky. Because they can't see beyond spiritual sky. They don't know beyond spiritual sky what is there beyond this material world. So, they think spiritual world means spiritual sky. And the goal is to return to our original home in the spiritual world. That's what the scriptures describe. Oh, we have to go to the spiritual sky. If you go to the spiritual sky, what will you do in the spiritual sky? Oh, there is nothing to be done because there is no activity in the spiritual world. So they want to merge. And to merge in the spiritual sky, they want to give up this body and give up this material existence and give up this material position, everything material they want to give up, material activities. So they try to annihilate themselves in a different kind of way. So our acharyas describe the Mayavadis want to commit spiritual suicide. It's called spiritual suicide. But the reality is we are spirit soul, eternally so. We got spiritual form, we got spiritual senses, we got spiritual. And this material body, this material mind, this material intelligence, the material senses, everything is covering our spiritual senses, our spiritual mind, our spiritual intelligence. That's a description in the scriptures. In the Bhagavad Gita it is there. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyut kramatishvaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani mashayat. The living entity acquires a specific type of body, means specific type of senses, according to its karma. Spiritual world, the senses are according to the specific service they want to render to Krishna. Here the senses are according to the conditioning, the karma we have. So, this material world is a reflection of spiritual world, but everything here is contaminated by the material gunas. Spiritual world is free from all contamination. Doesn't mean because material existence is having material body, so there is no body. No, there is no material body. Nirakar means, Upanishad describe Nirakar, the spirit soul Nirakar, means no material form. Akar means form. Nirakar means no form. Literally it means that. But the correct understanding is Nirakar means no material form. But there is spiritual form. Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. Time up. Okay. Spiritual world means there is spiritual form. Satchidananda Vigraha. Ishwaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha. Since Krishna has a spiritual form, Krishna is spirit. We are also spirit, but we also have a spiritual form. The difference is we are very, very tiny. Krishna is unlimited. We are limited. That difference is there. So, when we have to go to the spiritual world, we have to give up this material form. We have to give up. That's what scriptures say. Doesn't mean we annihilate ourself. Our real self is spirit. That we don't annihilate. Anyway, this material body, this material senses, material organs, everything will be annihilated at the end of this life. Or during Pralaya, it will be anyway annihilated. Just during this end of this life. So at Pralaya time, if you are prepared to go to the spiritual world, you can go to the spiritual world. Otherwise, you have to remain in the material world till again the next creation takes place. So that preparation is actually understanding who we are in terms of our eternal identity as devotees. So we are devotees. Each one of us is devotee of Krishna. And we have to prepare ourselves to actually act in that position as devotees. So the training is in the material world, the training is bhakti yoga, the practice, sadhana bhakti. So we chant Hare Krishna, we worship Krishna, we bow down to Krishna to develop or awaken our devotion to Krishna. Not only awaken that sentiment of devotion, but also to learn to act in that devotional way, to perform devotional activities. Just like here we are singing and dancing in Kirtan. The same singing and dancing is going on always in the spiritual world. Always singing and dancing is going on. Because in the Bhagavatam one place it says, the singing and dancing of the devotees in the spiritual world is accompanied by Krishna's flute. Only if there is singing, there is meaning in flute. Otherwise, what is the meaning in flute? Krishna playing flute. Why he has to play the flute? Because devotees are singing. And because devotees are dancing, Krishna also joins the dance. But the dancing is not ordinary dancing, it is rasa dance. So one place Prabhupada says, Krishna is inviting us, come and join me in my rasa dance. So these are not some imaginary descriptions as Mayavadis think. They think these are all imaginary descriptions. Krishna as a person, God as person, these are all imaginary. Or at best, it is Krishna coming in the form of a Devata as Vishnu. Because some places Shastra say Vishnu incarnates. Vishnu is also having the position of a Devata, maintainer of this material world. So they think that maintenance and maintainer and having a form as Vishnu, all that is part of this material world. That's what they think. They don't understand Vishnu doesn't belong to this material world. Neither he assumes a material form like we have to accept. No. He comes in his spiritual form. That spiritual form is there in the spiritual world. And in the same spiritual form he comes. Or similar looking spiritual form in the case of Vishnu. So this understanding is there only in the confidential portions of the Vedas. And that confidential portion of the Vedas are very clearly, nicely described in the Puranas, Itihasa. Puranas and Itihasa, the Smriti Shastra, they clearly describe in simple language, straightforward way, the spiritual world, the spiritual form, the spiritual activities, directly describing. This is not simply some imaginary descriptions or some some false descriptions, some stories, fictitious stories for the sake of imparting some morals. No, it's not just fictitious stories. Neither there's any moral to be imparted. You simply have to revive your bhakti, that's all. You don't have to learn any moral values here, no. So that is explained very clearly in the Puranas and the Itihasas. But the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam exclusively only aims at explaining the spiritual reality. That's all. Nothing much is there about the material world in these scriptures. Little is there, but very little. So therefore, we should read this, hear this, understand this as it is described here, and not speculate and try to give some interpretation or think these are all some imaginary stories, fictitious stories. No, these are real, actual, factual descriptions of the Supreme Lord in His eternal form in the spiritual world, which He displays in the material world, His eternal activities which are always going on, and He's inviting us, please come and join me and enjoy with me. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Some announcements. Srila Prabhupada Book Marathon. All devotees are encouraged to enthusiastically participate in this 2025 Srila Prabhupada Book Marathon. This is trying to distribute Prabhupada's books to as many people as possible. So this book marathon will go on till January 31st, till January 31st. It began on December 1st and will go on till January 31st. So please, you also can participate in this book marathon trying to distribute Prabhupada's books. Then Srila Prabhupada Ashraya, next Sunday, 14 December, we'll have this Ashraya ceremony at 4 p.m. So who have completed this Ashraya test will be formally awarded this Prabhupada Ashraya next Sunday at 4 p.m. So all the participants are requested to participate in this Ashraya ceremony next Sunday at 4 p.m. Then we are conducting one Udupi Yatra to commemorate the declaration of Srila Prabhupada as Vishwaguru. Prabhupada was awarded this Vishwaguru title in last Kumbh Mela in Prayag. So to commemorate that declaration of Srila Prabhupada Vishwaguru, a special event has been arranged in Udupi on 21st December, this month, 21st. It's a Sunday, 2 Sundays from now. As part of this celebration, devotee yatra has been organized. So those who want to come for this yatra, please take further details from temple devotees and you can register your participation. We are celebrating Vaikuntha Ekadashi on 30th December. We are observing Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Hare Krishna.